obviously you've toured with the Mars Volta, you've been on a ton of records. What are you spending the majority of your time on these days?
I think now I'm just spending a lot of my time. Dude, I've had hella cancellations, bro. I've had a lot of bands cancel on me, and I've had a lot of projects intertwined because there's only so many Saturdays in a year, and people want me to play with them, but like I don't have my schedule's insane. So I've lost some gigs due to not being able to do every single date. I mean, I could do half a tour, but I can't do like the last four shows. So they're like, let me get somebody who could do the last four shows. So I've just been um practicing all kind of weird stuff that I see. Sometimes I'll have like things that, sometimes I'll be like watching people and they're playing something that I'm completely familiar with, but a little bit different. And something about it is, something about that difference is something that I haven't like really stepped into. So see those ideas and I'll just practice them and just been practicing. I'm not like the kind of guy who's gonna videotape myself practicing at this moment in time. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people will do it, but I just be on my own practicing and I treat like a Zildjian Live or a Modern Drummer Fest or like a Tam Tam or the UK drum shows. I treat those events like it's like X Games. So you probably might not see what I'm practicing until we're on Tam Tam or a Zildjian, live type situation.
Yeah. What are some ideas that you've been fired up about and that have inspired you to practice, if you're able to name anything?
Ideas. I just think that's like I just I think people a lot of times they work on things that come very easy to them.
Mm.
And so I have students, so sometimes like I'll have students that are super advanced and I have students of various like levels and the guys who are advanced super inspire me to continue to come up with stuff that's twacked out and I'm still interested in drums like I was when I was a kid. So I'll put on old videos of Tane and watch the jazz drummers and then I also watch people like, Dorothy Taylor and like because I like Dorothy because Dorothy will go and she'll show you some new way of playing some rudiment that you haven't, thought of and I'll adapt that, but I'll also adapt the way I like to play it, which is like including, other parts of the drum set. Like so a lot of hand stuff I practice with feet patterns also. So it makes you have it just makes you deal with time and have a certain amount of coordination and it makes you understand the rudiment and practice it probably a lot more because you're having to work on your feet too while practicing it. So it's not something you could be like, oh, my hands have it, so let's move on. You know what I mean? It's like my hands have it, but my feet don't have it. And even if they have it, I might have it in some basic foot ostinato. I'll just continue to expound on the ostinato, and then that sometimes influences me to expound on the rudiment. So, I'll turn like regular paradiddles into, drag paradiddles with flams. I'm just, I just try to make it fun and I get really bored with, you know, doing, I just get bored with this instrument, not in a bad way, but in the way of like, you know, when I see somebody do something, I usually try to like figure out another way to do it. So if I learn something on that's a right hand feel, I'll try to figure out how to play it on the left hand or the left side of the drum set, and then that sometimes inspires something else.
Yeah, that resonates for me. And at the stage I'm at, very often I'm trying to balance between going deeper into something and boredom. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll use other players for inspiration. Just for instance, like, sorry to say it, but I like to practice chops.
Hmm.
Players like you and a bunch of other people inspire that. I think it looks cool. I think it feels cool. We can talk more about that. But maybe sometimes I'll get bored. Like, I feel like I've been practicing chops a lot. I feel pretty fluent. like maybe I should work on something else. And then I'll see an Instagram clip where I'm like, oh, all this stuff I'm doing at like quarter equals 190, it needs to be like quarter equals 230. And then I'll just like rage
Yeah.
practice. Like, I guess to turn this into a question, the style or some of the things you're known for, some of the idioms, some of the sort of drum figures of speech, that when we think of Thomas, there are certain things that come to mind. I think of like the Zildjian Live, for instance. How much of that was inspired by other people, and how much of that was going deep within, like really basic stuff like rudiments, and just working out creative ways to play them on your own?
Well, the Zildjian Live thing was just like that was just me, like, I'm practicing for these events, but I'm practicing just for myself too. But it's like the Zildjian Live thing is just like one of those situations where I treat it like church. I treat it like I'm learning something in front of you. But a lot of the drummers in there came no like they brought the music to the music director. Like I didn't know that song. So I was like learning in front of people. And so like for me, it's like I think that's what made the people in the room tripping. They tripped out more than anybody because they were like, this fool doesn't barely know this song. But like I like to do that because like to me it's like people always they always showcase what they do well. It's rare that somebody will go in a situation and try to play something that they maybe are working out and work it out in front of somebody else, or like just be vulnerable. You know what I mean? As a musician, it's just like, and then a lot of these guys that I see, not all, not I don't want to say these guys, but a lot of people don't really come from like the same place that like my generation comes from, like being able to say that you saw, Elvin Jones, and then be able to say, I've seen Baby Boy Drummer. You know what I mean? So it's like I've seen these two parallels in real time, in real life. I've seen Tony Williams in real life, or a Steve Gadd, in real time, like behind his drum set, and then be able to say, I, grew up looking at Tony Royster, so it's like, and then everything in between that, from a Xavier to a Mike Mitchell to a Chris Dave, and to like a Bill Stewart, like all these people. There's such a wide range of like generational gaps. So like as much as I've learned these traditional values from like watching Joe Morello or Freddie Goober or Gary Chafee books and all that stuff, I also know what a clapstack is. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of multi-generational knowledge. So it's kind of like watching people, and you're just kind of like, you're like, I'm not I they call me an OG, but to everybody I grew up with, I'm still younger than everybody. So it's just like, I just, in my mind, I just feel like, not only is it a blessing, it's also really, really weird. You know what I mean? Because you see all these people, and they it's a lot of instant gratification. It's a lot of, let me set up my camera every single time I touch a drum set. So it can be very distracting and very confusing, as if you're like a classical, when I mean not a classical music, but just like a classic musician who came up. You got to earn it. You got to go to the club and show and prove it. You got to be able to play with other artists. You can't just sit in a room and play with a MP3. You can't just go and turn the audio of the Foo Fighters song down and try to get clout. You can't just go play other people's fills, literally the whole video, or try to sound like, because you got to think, like, a lot of people on the internet, they presume that the people who are looking at drums are drummers, are musicians, and that's not true. It's like I look at I look at food blogs on the internet all the time, but I'm not a chef. You know what I mean? So a lot of people just are enjoying, the influencer, or maybe watching this guy play drums, but they absolutely know nothing about it. So for a classic drummer or a classic musician, you're looking at that, and that can make you question yourself in some level. So I just try to like remain true on a musical level. That's why I walk in there and not know the song. because I think it's a flex versus you coming in there and you making it so easy for yourself. You're like you're set up to win. You know what I mean? And that's cool, but like I'm about to come out there and not be set up to win. You know what I mean? And like I feel like that has been like my practice for a lot of it because I'm always stepping into a genre I'm uncomfortable with, or playing with an artist that don't speak English, or you know what I mean. It's just like I'm constantly having these these challenges, and I think as a human, it's making me be more expressive in a different way because I'm coming from a different place, and that comes out through my playing and my music, if that makes any sense.
100%. Yeah. And I think one of the things that for drummers who maybe only grew up in the sort of post Instagram era that doesn't get enough airplay is the skill of being able to learn a song quickly on the fly with a group of real musicians. And just so that nobody gets the wrong idea, you might have walked into the Zildjian Live not knowing the song, but you absolutely had that ability to learn it quickly, and you respected the music and the musicians by learning it quickly and nailing it, and that's what impressed everybody. If I tried to do the same thing, it wouldn't turn out as well.
I mean, you can't say that.
Well, maybe not, but I think that's what impresses people about players like you, and certainly has always impressed me. And I think another thing that, and you tell me if I'm perceiving this accurately, but I also feel like you mentioned vulnerability, and I think that's a great word because you've worked on getting all this technical facility, but you never stay in your comfort zone. Whether it's with Mars Volta or Zildjian Live or like some of the original sheds with Tony Royster or anything else, you get the skill set and then you push it to the breaking point. Like, in other words, like the emotionality and like making something happen and making something entertaining is sort of the first priority. Like, am I perceiving that accurately? And how would you describe it from your side?
I don't know. I think you psych your mind out. Like, you that's why when you said that, I was like, that's not necessarily true. Like you just like I have students that be like, I can't play that. I'm like, yeah, you can't play that because you're talking about it. You know what I mean? And it's like you can psych yourself into all this thing. It's like, I never like I just be like I can do it. You know what I mean? And if it's something that's super foreign, like super super foreign, I won't do it. But like for the most part, you can psych yourself out and accomplish all sorts of stuff, man. Just like as far as remember Guitar Center had a drum off. If you go say you're not gonna win or you don't know if you're gonna win, you're not gonna win. But if you go in there and you say I'm gonna win, it's just some about like spirit, you know what I mean? And having some sort of like spiritual connection to like everything. And like, I'm sure you can't be like, me where I barely could hit a jump shot and be like, I'm gonna beat LeBron, but like within reason, you can psych yourself out to do a lot of stuff.
That's a very good point. Along those lines, did you ever struggle with stage fright? Was there ever a time when you were afraid to play the drums, or did it always feel very natural to you to perform in front of people?
Uh, I think I only get like weird when I don't know the music. Like, and that's in a little club or a big stage. Like, if I don't know the music, I'm like, man, I don't know what this is gonna be, but I'm gonna try my best. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't know the music, it's tough. But like if you know the music, and the sound is good, you're gonna be fine. It's just I'm the hardest person on myself. I'm always like questioning, was it good? I'll ask somebody else, was it good? They're like, it was good. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I just look at it like it's always like you could always be better at it. And I just don't get so caught up in it. Like I don't beat myself up over it. I if I dropped a stick on Zildjian Live and it was bad, I wouldn't give a shit and I would tell them to post it. It's just like I enjoy playing drums and like I don't take it as serious as other people. People go on my comments and be like, it would be tight if you played straight. I'm like, bro, you want me to play straight at Hollywood Pro Drum for what? Like, for what? Like, you know what I mean? Or I think, and like, just to even go off on that, I think we're at a place in time where people I hate to say it in this way, but me and my homeboy, we always battle with this, and I think people feel certain mediocrity as relatable. So they gravitate towards mediocrity. Like if you're too good, they'll be like, can you play straight? And then it's just like they just like it's like, bro, you're playing drums. You should be able to play straight. You should be able to play a beat. Like it's just ridiculous to me. But I guess they're so used to people chopping out that they're like, can you play straight? It's like, what do you get from that? Like, my God, like, I get that you want to see me play straight, but how does me playing straight give you my feel? Like, what is that? Like, what are you trying to get from what I'm doing? Like, what are you trying to suck from that? Like, I'd rather play how I'm playing, and like, you could just eat a dick. You like, I hate to say it like that, but you can. And then you can go watch the people who play straight. When I was a kid, all the drummers who said they play straight had no chops, and we all knew that. It wasn't like we wasn't going to certain drummers to hear Vinny Colaiuta flams off the toms. You know what I mean? We were just like, that fool got a pocket. Now it's like, if you play fills, fools don't think you have a pocket, but it's like, it's just, you can't never win with people, so you might as well just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because it's never gonna be good enough. You could play all, like, bro. People I tripped out on it. I'm like, man, you guys are crazy. 1 minute you play straight and it don't get no comments. Like, the same people who ask you to play straight won't comment on the videos of you playing straight, but they will comment on the ones where you playing fields. So it's like, I just feel like people feel like they feel good with mediocrity. It's like when we was talking about food, like, you'll watch the person making a hamburger that look hella juicy, but when somebody start doing like the caviar, sea bass, weird, like, people be like, turn that off, because it's not relatable. They want to see somebody cooking some macaroni and cheese. It's like, bruh, so you can't win. So you might as well go into the Zildjian Live not knowing it, because no matter if it's good or not, they're gonna talk, because you given access for everybody's opinion. So it's like, I just do what I want, you know what I mean? So I just leave it on the stage, and I keep it pushing, because it's like, I'm not really playing for you anyway. Like, when I was young, people didn't want to let me play. I used to beg. We all did. Like, a lot of the church drummers, we had to beg to play. And they would like let us play in devotion when people are walking around giving money at the plate. And that's for like 15 minutes, barely. You might have played a song, so they didn't want to let us play. So majority of us had to fight to play. You know what I mean? So it's like, we play all that stuff, all them chops. Like, dude, I was good before I was ever in the Mars Volta, but magazines didn't give a shit. I've been endorsed with Zildjian since I was 10. I was with DW since I was 17, bro. I did modern drum. I did Mars Volta when I was 26 years old, bro. Like, so that's like 16, 9 years of time passed before somebody actually recognizes you and puts you on anything. It's because, like, they know you're good, but they don't. A lot of people want to see you playing in the place they want to see you playing at, or playing the way they want to see you playing at. So, like, certain media outlets, they're like, man, you could play with Keisha Cole, you could play with Christian Scott, that's great, but you're not playing with my favorite rock band. And so you see that every day. You know what I mean? You see that from, Jay Weinberg to Eloy and all of that. Like, you get this clout that comes from playing well. Oh, you're playing with one of my favorite bands, now I'm gonna put you on everything. So it's like, just play the drums. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, be on like the covers of the magazines like that. I'm really just trying to make it where it's impossible to fuck with me on these drums. So, like, when I'm not here, like when I'm not here, it's just like, I talked to this one woman from P Funk, and we was at the dinner table backstage, and we was talking. I don't even know how Jimi Hendrix got brought up. I was like, you knew Jimmy? She was like, yeah, I knew Jimmy. I was like, what was that like? And she was like, man, he was just Jimmy. Nobody even said how, we didn't think of him as a legend until he died, is what they said. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that is hella trippy. All these people that we be around, we don't realize how much of a legend until they're not here. So, like, for me, it's just like, just keep going and just build your whole legacy, and just keep playing these drums, man. You ain't gonna always have a perfect day. You ain't gonna have a perfect gig. The album ain't gonna always be amazing. It might not. One will be big, one won't. You might win a Grammy for this, you might for that. But at the end of the day, fools can see what you did in music. You know what I mean? So when people ask me about drummers, I usually say, "What's your favorite record that they're on?" And if you name like the top 100 drummers, you probably gonna find max 20 records. And that is a weird thing. We're looking at drummers based on videos on the internet, not like things that are like permanent. Like I'm sure videos are permanent, but like as far as like music, like for hundreds of years, being on records and doing that type of thing has been something that has been like that signs you as an official musician when you have a record and you play on a Herbie record or you play with Miles. Like a lot of people play with Miles at a jazz club, but a lot of people ain't on plugged at the nickel.
Yeah. I've asked a lot of people what they think the trade-offs are of like the kind of classic, as you say, analog era and the internet era where gatekeepers are gone, but then you have things like Instagram incentivizing like 30-second clips of chops. But I'm curious, and tell me if this is a fair question. If you could snap your fingers and go back to the music scene as it was in the late 90s, would you? Would you trade that for this?
Hell yeah. Because people were still making money off records. Like it's like people, yeah. If I was in the 90s and the 80s, I'd be a trillionaire. Bro, I played on me and Ronald did a live where we just played records and records and records and records. Bro, people was in the comments like, I didn't even know you played on this many records, bro. Like, yeah, I'd be fucking filthy rich if I played on this many records in the 90s and 80s. So yes. But I think the trade-off is that the information is so readily available. But the problem with it is that with information also comes a bunch of distractions. So all this information that is here when in the early 2000s is when I went to college. If all this information was here, I would have been a crazy person. But like now you got video games, you got like you have Netflix. Like you won't ever run out of a video or a movie to watch. You won't ever run out. You can't beat a video game anymore. You're just playing against somebody else and repping up for hours and hours. You can't beat a game. So these things are distractions for like a lot of the youngsters who want to play because and they can't even recognize how much information is out there. Everybody is literally showing everything they can do, bro. It's like you don't have to go and try to like secretly get a porno from a liquor store. You can literally just type it up all day. You know what I mean? And so it's people don't people don't even value how easy it is to do it, and they don't put in a lot of the time because the time is put into people turning on the cameras. So, but the time to actually learn this stuff is not on the cameras, bro. This time to learn this stuff is when you by yourself, waking up in the morning and you like the first idea in your mind is like, I'm gonna hop on these drums, not I'm gonna get turned on my GoPro so I can play to the new hashtag song of the week. It's just insane. And so it's like I think that's why when I was saying multi-generational, that's why you won't ever see another Tony Royster or another Chris Dave. It's because they had to put in time like that. They couldn't just immediately walk in and like copy somebody's drum set up. They had to literally like actually care about it. like they had to care to see now you're making people care about it by in the morning. Let me bombard you with this drum solo that you didn't even ask for. You know what I mean?
I literally did that this morning. I was driving back from jujitsu, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me post my Insta clip of the day. I'm like, well, I took a solo yesterday in the shed, so let me post that. Along those lines, yeah, I I don't think I was. Not that I'm any good now. Certainly compared to my heroes like you, I'm not any good. But even like back in the day, I was trash. I was terrible. But I did have a foot in the analog world because I came to New York to go to music school in the early 2000s, and I was playing gigs, and then kind of made the transition to the digital world with the YouTube channel and stuff. So to a degree, maybe I kind of see both sides. And it feels like the most unfair thing about the scene now is it's unfair to players who are legitimately the greatest in the world, who paid their dues back in the day, um, and who would have, as you said, gotten paid for records back when people still spent money on records. And it feels like the Instagramization also kind of compresses everything. So it's more difficult to tell like the true greats. And yeah, I'm not sure what we do about that. But I guess my question here would be like to, to completely team myself up, to put myself squarely on the chopping block. Like, what do you wish, and maybe I'm being a little unkind to myself, but like mediocre players like me who have YouTube channels and are content creators, what do you wish that we knew that you think we don't? Or if there's anything that bugs you about us, what is it?
Nothing, nothing, nothing. I don't care. I don't give a fuck because your path is not my path. I just see what it is. You know what I mean? Like it's just my path is like you know it's like for me when I look at the people who don't play music like a Kobe Bryant or LeBron. Those are the people I pattern myself after, or Michael Jackson, or a James Brown, or a Tupac, or a Bob Marley. Like I just in my mind cannot fathom Kobe Bryant turning on a camera before he shoots hoops. So it's like if you want to do that, if you want to be the new school basketball player that does that, you're just gonna do that. You know what I mean? I don't have any advice. Like I don't care. Like I'm on this that's your wave. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody is supposed to have their own wave. But what I do notice about a lot of the guys who are like that is when we are in public in a public space, they don't want to play drums. When it's like I've seen drummers be like, "Oh yeah, I'll sit on the drums, but let's turn the cameras off." But they have like 200,000 followers on the internet. I had a guy who had million subscribers. I'm at drum channel. I'm like, bro, let's just play drums. Like we could just play a beat together just for the film, just for the camera. Oh, I ain't sitting on the drums next to you. So it's like, I respect people like Lethal Shooter. You know what I mean? I think he's a sick social media dude. But I don't think anybody who follows basketball considers Lethal Shooter like they consider LeBron James or Steph Curry. So it's like, just go do that. You know what I mean? I think that like what I think it actually makes room for a lot of drummers who come from a very serious space when it comes to like playing with other musicians because and I also think, what I'm doing inspires people who maybe live in like very remote areas who, they a lot of them aren't doing it, videos out of spite. You know what I mean? I don't believe it's out of spite or for traditional musicians. I just feel like it's just a oversaturated wave and it's a lot of people who are corny that fit into that spectrum also. So it's like I just think that like, people who come from very remote areas, it's very good for them to find other musicians and people to find them. So I understand that it is beneficial to some people. I just I'm just coming from a different place, bro, and I'm willing to I'm not as judgmental as a point to be like y'all not real. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's just something that I'm not on. And that's okay. You know what I mean? We all aren't the same, And I just want, you know, things for myself. I can't want things for the whole drumming community. I just look at it and these are the things I notice because I am who I am.
Yeah. Well, we'll pivot off internet culture for a minute to something adjacent. My other major question was concerned something you said a little bit earlier, which was like people who, in this category of like the video makers, maybe who do somebody else's exact fill, right? They do somebody else's exact fill, and they're not playing anything of their own, and and to pivot into like practicing improvisation a little bit and developing your own voice. And you teach, like, how do you recommend somebody start to develop their own voice when they improvise so that when they play, they're not playing somebody else's verbatim fill?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to tell people how to be creative, bro. I just think that like it's just a lack of creation, creative. It's just a lack of creative things because people see what is working for others. You know what I mean? When you see the videos, it's like kick left, right, kick left, and dude's like da do do da da do do do. Like after you see one person make that video and you decide to do it, you are like you're just cloud chasing. You're trying to get something from it. You're trying to sell a book. You're trying to sell something. And so, like when I see people, try to play other people's fields, I just in my mind, I mean, I did it. I still do it. I play other people's fields, but at the same time, I also just try to play different things, bro. From childhood, that's been a constant battle with all the drummers I've ever known. Like we've all been like, bro, he sounds like so and so. Bro, that was so and so. Bro, we be called. I mean, personally, my homies will watch a video and be like, that was that Gerald Haywood feel from Blackstreet on SNL back in the day. Like we know the feels. Or, oh man, that dude keeps doing the Vinny Caliuta feels. Like I mean, that's just constant. But it's just because people like, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. The internet is just one of those spaces that just exists, and it's like it's tough because it is you don't know what to like. It confuses you, but that's why I'm saying it can draw people into coming into depression. Like if you start looking at women on the internet, they all dress the same, they all got the same haircut, they all take the same photos, everybody got to take a photo of the menu at the most expensive restaurant. Like people are just clones, bro. So it's like it's hard to tell people to be creative. It's just all you could do is you got to live your own truth, bro. So when you see it, you be creative. You be like, how can I do this differently? So sometimes to try to explain how to ways to think of new things, I would say if you see somebody do it right-handed, it could be cool to do it left-handed because then that'll give you a different perspective on something. You know what I mean? Or not doing it off the exact same drums. You know what I mean? Or doing it in a different style of music. You know what I mean? Or another thing is like, I think when you start idolizing people, you gotta maybe you watch too many of the Dave Weckl videos. Maybe you should watch less Dave Weckl. You know what I mean? It's almost like trap music. We watch people, you be like, how are you caught up in this energy that is so negative? It's like, yeah, because that's all they listen to. So, when you it's this quote from Saul Williams on the Breakfast Club where he talks about your diet is not just what you eat. It's what you watch, it's what you read, it's the people you're around. So switch the style of music you listen to. You know what I mean? Like stop watching the Thomas Pridgen video for a second. And you know what I mean? It's hard to tell somebody how to be creative. It's just like you gotta also want to be creative. Some people are that's what I'm saying. Some people are very comfortable in mediocrity. Like if they're getting, like look at the internet, bro. You see 99.9 everything is a fireball, bro. Everything is dope. So it's like no one is saying anything subjective. Like they'll say it's dope and then send it to their homie and be like, that shit is whack. Look at this. You know what I mean? They're not gonna tell you the truth. So it's really tough because you're trying to get validation in a spot where they validate every level of like you know what I mean? Like every level, bro. Like everything is validated. The person who is like mentally ill, doing wild shit, burning themselves, people like, yeah, keep doing it. The person is like, it's like people are just like, I don't know how to explain what the world is. It's actually weird to watch, but like on a music level, it's just, you gotta fight. you gotta fight to be creative if you are too consumed by what's going on. It's,
That makes
that's a
sense.
really weird question.
Yeah, no, I think that situates it pretty well. Actually, you no, because what you're alluding to is that being creative in this day and age is not going to come accidentally. It's not going to be a side effect of you just kind of coasting along. It needs to be an affirmative choice. Like
Yeah.
you need to be very adamant about maintaining your creativity and resisting, like, yeah, interface with your influences, but resist that gravitational pull to be like exactly like somebody else. Least of all for clout, right? Like if you're thinking like, oh, people will dig me if I do this, like that's probably the wrong thing, right? It's like if something fires you up creatively, good, that's a good signal. And
Mhm.
the other thing you mentioned is like diversify your influences, right? So like don't just listen to one thing. Like try to have a variety of different things. That all makes a lot of sense. I maybe a good place to wrap it up would be in this crazy world where the internet's making us crazy and dividing us. What do you do outside of the drums for like a good life?
Um,
Other activities you dig, stuff that you're into. Yeah.
Shit. Dude, I'm a workaholic, but I like to spend time with my family. I like to, you know, I like to go park on the park tour with my kids, where we go to different parks every day. We find new parks all the time, and we go to new. I like to do that. I like to go fishing. I like, to, I like to kick it. I like cars. I like working on cars and driving cars fast. I like traveling. I like food. I like all sorts of shit. I just I'm just a devout musician, so it's like my schedule is insane. So when I try to do things for like recreation, it's like, I talk to my other homies. I'm like, how the hell do you go on a vacation? Like I'd be sitting in Hawaii on the chair, bored as hell, missing playing. You know what I mean? So um dude, I
Do
play
you
a
feel
lot
like
of video games. I do a lot of different things.
do you feel like every day you have that pull to practice and to play the drums anew though? Like pretty much the drums choose you like each and every day in a way.
Yeah, I'll be having things I'll be wanting to work on. Like I'll be in my mind thinking about, damn, I should set my drum set up like this. Or I have things in my mind constantly that, oh man, like the other day I was like, man, I was talking to Craig Reynolds. I'm like, bro, I'm like, all you guys are using these little ass cluster crashes. He was like, yeah, everybody's using thinner cymbals. And so I just started fucking with going to my drum room and all these cymbals is thin as shit. So it's like I just get inspired, and then like I always have to learn music, which is another one. I think that's the actual hardest part of having to do so many different types of gigs, is like you always got to learn hella music, and so that's time consuming. I like to garden, like vegetables, not fucking marijuana like everybody always assumes. um yeah, I don't know, I like a lot of things. I'm just really into music, and I'm into like playing drums, and I like, releasing projects. Like I like actually getting the projects done. I think every time a project comes out, it's like another one, you know what I mean? Because it's so hard to do, especially in this time. So yeah.
Last question. Did drums feel easy to you when you first started or did it always feel like an effort but a worthwhile effort? And I can expand on that if you want, but
No, it felt. I mean, I learned things, like even now. I learn things pretty fast. I learn anything I want to do really fast. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm one of those people who I've had when I was young. My mom, she liked that I played the drums, but she didn't want me to just be a drum nerd and like have no kind of like no real human I just a straight up kid in the house who didn't have no social life and was just a weirdo. Like she didn't want me to do that, and so she would take me skateboarding and take me to all these different places. So I had to learn how to skate, I had to learn how to paint on walls, I had to learn how to garden with my mom, you know what I mean? So I had to learn drums. So I'm very good at learning something I want to do because I just go through the steps of how I learned everything else. I'm like, well, you learn it slow. You learn one thing and then you expound off that. You know what I mean? So I'm very good at learning things just by just following the same method. So I don't think it was necessarily easy. I don't think it's easy now. I think that it's actually harder now because people have heard me. So they have a preconceived notion of how I sound. Like, I'm gonna go to the studio session. and some dude is gonna come up with this part that sounds similar to a part I played before, and they're gonna be like, "Man, when I was hearing this, I was hearing this thing you already did before," and I'd be like, "How can I play that so it doesn't sound like the same thing?" You know what I mean? And sometimes I'll be in the studio with people and be like, "Bro, that sounds like this to me," and they'll be like, "Hey, what is that?" I'm like, "I know that's whack. Let's do something else." So it's just like, how do you continue to, to continue to expound on what you've done and make it fun and make it interesting and make people enjoy it? Because you don't want to sound the same on everything. That's why you'll see me on Drum Channel with Thundercat, and then you'll see me with a rock band, and then you'll see me with a jazz project. Then you'll see me soloing on a big kit, and then soloing on a four piece. And so it's not just constantly the same shit. Like I get bored watching people do the same thing. You're like, thank you, bro. You're gonna do the same. Like it gets redundant. You know what I mean? So I think that you have to change the music, and you just get burnt out if you don't. Maybe today I want to play double pedal. You know what I mean? Like just switch it up sometimes. That's why I like people like Stanley Randolph and like Chris Dave and like Vinny Caliuta and like man, like Mayo the drummer. You know what I mean? Like every
Yeah.
time you see a different Mayo video, he's switching up where the drums are, or like I don't know. You just like people who are just changing it up. It's like Chris Davis, like I'm gonna put this hi hat over here, and then you got Stanley. I'm gonna put the ride over here, just to switch it up a little bit. Like when the clapstack came out, now everybody plays that shit exactly the same. It's literally the same every time you see the clapstack. Where you're like, bro, he's gonna do that Jay Dilla beat again, bro. It's like, oh man, oh he got hella towels on the drums. Oh dog, he about to do that lo-fi shit again. Like it's just like it just gets redundant. But I don't know. It just gets redundant to me. That's just my personal opinion because, you know, I am a trendy person. I feel like black people are some of the most trendiest musical people in the world. We'll go and create jazz and won't even go to a jazz concert. We'll go create hip hop and won't even go to a hip hop concert. Wu Tang got none but white people in the crowd. Like it's just we just trendy like that. We get tired of shit. So that's kind of how I am.
That's amazing.
You won't see that many black people at a blues festival. You know what I mean? So it's just we just trendy people, and that's good because it makes us always create. But at the same time, it makes us very opinionated when it comes to music.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. A lot of fire takes in this one. I'm sure people will enjoy. Anyway, I'll let you get to your rehearsal. Really, really appreciate your time, and
It's
I'll
all
ping you
good,
before I
G. You
post
take
this.
care of yourself.
All right, you too.